Project Base Camp. We have another great project today that we're going to get started on. The drawback to this backcountry camper is that there's not a lot of adequate lighting to use at night. So pulling into a camp spot late at night, trying to dodge things, you can't see unless you have somebody spotting you, and I'm tired of it. So what we've decided is we're gonna add some lights to the back of the camper. What we've kind of settled on is putting kind of like outdoor rugged tube lights to the back of the camper. We thought it would be still keeping with the good look, the rugged look, but serve as a good function for us. And we've decided to mount him here. We've already got it spotted out and marked out. It's 3 1/4 inches off from the side, which is centered in this space. So we're gonna put one here as well as one over on the other side. These are kind of slick because these lights that we found on Amazon, again, they have a remote control so we can change with multiple colors, which is kind of fun. But more importantly, my husband said we should go with this because they come with red light, which is great for keeping bugs from being attracted to the light at night, as well as you get your bright white light. But I will pass the technical specs, because I don't do that stuff, off to Jesse here, and we'll switch who's operating the camera.
All right, so I have to look up the pronunciation because everything you buy on Amazon nowadays is some weird name. So these are a 2-pack of Nikoko or Nikoko, something like that. Anyway, pretty good deal. So these were 60 bucks. And they have a really bright white light in the middle. There's these 6 bright white LEDs right in the middle, and then around the edges they have RGB LEDs. So each one of these can be basically any color on this remote, which is cool. And it does have like these like chase lights, and they'll, you know, change colors, and we'll probably never use that. Basically I just wanted it so we can change it from red to white.
Dance party.
No, not dance party. Kind of the big thing about these is I could wire backup lights from the truck into the existing wiring of the Escapade, but these allow all these different functions, and it does, the remote is actually RF, so we could have the remote in the truck, and as we're backing up, just turn it on from the remote so we can see as we're backing up. So we don't always have to have the lights on when you're backing up and blinding people. This is another product I've already tested, because as soon as something shows up on our doorstep, I make sure I rip it open and go connect it to something because I want to play with it. But each one of these products that we're installing on the backcountry is something that we've purchased with our own money, so just keep that in mind, that these are definitely unbiased opinions on these things when we have opinions. So anyway, we'll kind of show you how these are going to look like, and then we'll kind of get into the nitty-gritty of what we're going to do with all this stuff. So as my wife had mentioned, we had already marked out where we're going to put these brackets. So these are the brackets that come with these tube lights. These are generally used for like off-roading and things like that, but for our application, backup lights and kind of camp lights. We kind of marked out here where these will go, so we're going to mount these right there, and then the light kind of mounts right on that bracket, just like so, and then we'll be able to mount them here, point them down or up, whatever we need to do. When I tested them, they're really bright, so I think, you know, with the RGB at night, it'll kind of fill out the area, especially when we get out that batwing awning, it'll reflect off of it and kind of cover the area. So what we'll have to do is, with the wire, we'll have to drill a small hole underneath each light, one on this side, one on that side, and then we will mount the control box down here by all this other electrical, so we can have all of our electrical kind of in the same spot back in the back. First off, I'm going to start by mounting the mounting brackets. I've kind of already pre-drilled a hole here with the screw. First thing you want to do is seal up the hole as you're doing this. This is the stuff that Escapade recommends on any sealant. So this is ProFlex RV. You can get it on Amazon pretty easily, came in a couple days. So I'm gonna stick some sealant kind of around where we're going to be making this hole, because once I get that bracket on there, we're not gonna be able to seal underneath of it. So we're just gonna stick a little here so it kind of covers the hole. I'm using this little washer just so the head of our screw doesn't go all the way through. So we're just going to put the screw in the hole. There we go. So I'm probably gonna stick a little more sealant all the way around this guy, just so we're sure that you know, we don't have any leaks. And that's kind of what she's gonna look like. Okay, so we're about ready to drill the hole for the wire to go through. Basically, you want the connector to just get through the hole so we can seal it up nice. So I'm gonna start with a smaller drill bit, and then in our case, the connector is like pretty much right at 1/2 inch. You wanna make sure that this inside trim, you don't drill through that. So we did a little measuring math, and we figured out that the trim on the inside starts there, so we just need to drill underneath of that. And we made it. Look at that. What? So now we need to move on to our bigger drill bit. Perfect. Oh. So we just got to get our wire through, and then we can mount our light. So once we get our light mounted, we want to make sure that our wire actually has a little bit of a loop out here, and then we can seal it up, and we'll probably tack it down on the inside here. So when you move the light up and down, it's not pulling on our silicone there. So you can see we repeated the process on this side. Mounted this, I haven't siliconed that yet. And then we drilled a hole here for the wire to go through. And next, we are going to mount these guys. And they come with hardware to mount these with. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we'll show you the result. In the quite a few hours, I've been messing with these stupid lights. So the mounting mechanism is a little kind of a pain in the butt, because you have to use some needle nose pliers to get in the back and hold on to some nuts to get the hex head bolt to get in there. So down in here, I don't know, you can't see in there, but basically is where we have to stick our nut down in there. And then, so we've been using these angled needle nose pliers to get that down in there, and then screwing in the screw. Well, once we got that in, we'd get these up here, and no matter how tight you make this, if you move it a little bit, it would just loosen up and go like that. So we got outside spline washers, or whatever they're called, lock washers. We ended up not using those because my wife was right, and we used some rubber washers, and that is going in between the heat sink fins and the metal bracket. I also put on some thread locker on the nuts, so once it dries, the nuts will hold better, but we put those rubber washers in between there, and that really firmed it up, so you can still move it, but it'll stay where you want it to stay. I'm gonna get this last one in, tack down the wire in here, and then fill this, because I want to be able to tack down the wire so then we don't get any movement here when we're filling that with silicone. So on to the next one, hours later. So this has been a long project, but we're finally kind of at the end of it. So I just wanted to show you everything that we did as far as running the wire, hooking up the switch, and using the remote and things like that. So everything is actually up and running now, finally. So we got both lights up, and we used those rubber washers like we were talking about in between the bracket and the light. So we routed the wire underneath the top of the camper here up in the corner. So this one comes through the side and goes across the top. I don't know if you can see it, but there you go. Down here in the corner, this is the little control box that comes with the lights. So this is what tells the lights what color to change. It also is the remote receiver. So I ran the wire down the corner here. This is the roll of wire for the other light. Since it's a little long, I just zip tied it in a nice little circle here. Little box is installed right above our outlet. Wire runs down in this corner with all the other wiring we've ran, as well as the existing wiring that Escapade's run for the license plate light. They have an existing hole down in that corner. We're able to follow that, and then underneath the camper to the front where the existing 12-volt wiring is. Here in the front of the camper, Escapade installs the electrical panel. So here's the little 12-volt fuse block. We actually installed this one. It's an upgrade from what they installed from the factory. We needed a few more circuits, so we upgraded that. But as far as the off-road lights on the back of the camper, they come up through the corner here where our existing wiring is, and they go into this panel. And then it does come with a switch to cut the power off, so it's not always drawing power. We changed out the switch so it kind of matched the ones we already had, and installed them on the countertop, which is right next to the panels that Escapade already has installed. So you can see here on the top, here are our switches, so we can turn them on and off, so we're not drawing battery power if we don't need to. Here's the remote that the lights come with, so you can change the color of the LED ring around the edge of the off-road lights, as well as turn on and off the floodlight in the middle. So we will go ahead and show you these when it gets dark. We wanted to show you what the lights look at nighttime. We're actually out here camping, so we're out testing these little cube lights now that we finally got these installed. So right now we got them on this little orange light, and there's a little remote here so you can change the color depending on what you want. And there's this cool, you know, like Cassie says, dance party. Dance party.
Dance party.
Or they'll go in circles. Pretty cool. I think we'll mostly use them for, you know, just some amber light or red maybe. I don't know if we'll use it for red, but and then our backlight, so if we turn those off, we have a backup light. So these 6 lights in the middle will turn on, and we'll be able to back up a lot easier into a camp spot. You can also turn the little square lights on at the same time, and then turn those to white, and then it's like really bright. So as you can see, these are a great addition to add some light to the back of the camper while you're cooking or kind of moving around at camp at night. They're also really great for backing up while moving into a campsite. Since the camper doesn't have any backup lights, it's really hard to see if you're pulling in late, especially when, you know, out in the trees and there's no ambient light around you. One feature that I love about these are the changeable colors around the edges. So you can change them to red, amber, whatever you want. You can change them to some crazy colors, green and purple or whatever. But my favorite part's the amber color. They work really good around a campsite and they don't attract bugs. The rugged design looks really good on the Escapade. Since this is an off-road version, they just fit right in. The biggest install challenge we had was trying to keep these from moving around while driving. I think that was probably the most difficult part of this installation. The wiring and everything was pretty easy, but we did solve that issue, and now they work great. Would I buy them again? Absolutely. These things are tough, they're rugged, you know, they're made out of metal, they're really bright. One thing I may change about them is the dimming capability. These do not dim, They're not overly bright, but I think maybe if you are pulled into a campsite where there's other people around, they may be too bright. If you're out by yourself in the trees, I don't think it's an issue, but dimming capability would be nice, which might be something that I'll look into in the future. But otherwise, if you have any questions, just leave them down in the comments below. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next video.